Nickie Lawrence is the founder and COO of CSE Virtuals. She provides boutique-level service and attention specifically tailored to her clients' needs. She helps to transform their companies to meet the vision they want to manifest. She is sharing her insights and wisdom about trusting and enjoying the journey. So please, listeners, lend us your ears for part 1 of this interview with Nickie Lawrence. Nickie, thank you for being with us today as our guest. We are excited regarding this topic of trust and enjoying the journey. So before we get started, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Stacey, for inviting me. It's always my pleasure to talk to you. You're just such a phenomenally joyful soul. And from one soul to another, I do appreciate you so much. So a little bit about me. I am this blessed, fortunate soul that gets to enjoy living in this body and just walking this human journey. And in this journey, I like to say that I have many roles because my roles are not me. I am a soul and I'm living in this body. And I get to have the role as entrepreneur, mom, friend, wife, lover, daughter, cousin, relation. All of these magnificent roles get to comprise my experiences on this journey.
Nickie, I have a question. Do you have one role that's more important or is greater than the other in your life?
Yes, for me, I would say my commitment to who I am, making sure that I am true to who I'm here to be. So some people identify more with, say, for example, they're a mom. So they identify with being a mom. And then all things else gets to the background, including developing themselves and developing their souls on this journey. For me, I focus on my soul first. My relationship with myself is the most important thing because from the beginning of my life in this body to the end, I am the most constant in my life. So if I am nurturing who I am and nurturing my relationship with myself, then I'm able to give to others and give 100% to everything else and all the other roles that I'm experiencing in this lifetime.
So in this role, what does trust and enjoy the journey mean to you?
In the role to myself, trust and enjoying the journey means that I'm always in tuned to what my soul is wanting to bring forth. And sometimes it's a challenge because there are all these distractions. The roles come in, right? So when there are challenges that happen, for example, one role in my life is overtaking something else, or there's a challenge there, or if there's a conflict with my business or in my family, then that needs focus. And it's for me to take a step back and say, okay, well, what is my role here? What is this here to teach me? And sometimes, sometimes we lose a role, right? For example, we lose a job, we lose a career. But rather than focus on the loss of that, it's focusing on, okay, well, that's just the transition out of my experience and waiting for something else new to come in and just trusting that what's coming in is going to be better than what left. And that what left was just a glitch, or actually not a glitch, but a snapshot of a bit of my life in this particular experience. So it's just whatever is going on, any challenges that come my way, it's knowing that it is meant to happen because it's meant to bring about growth in my life.
So I have a question regarding an example. Do you have an example that you can share with our listeners about that process?
Sure. So the most recent, I had mentioned in the intro that one of the roles that I play is an entrepreneur, and I was also an employee for a large company, and I had been unhappy in that role for quite some time, and I had been trusting God to give me the opportunity or allow the opportunity for me to work 100% on my business, leaving that W 2 behind so that I can focus and build the next stage. But I kept holding on to that employer, saying that, okay, if my business grows, then I will let go because the funds, I wanted to have the funds from that employer as well as from my business. And things got so challenging in that company for me that it became almost, impossible for me to stay there. Every day I remember I'd say, oh my goodness, if only I'd have all these hours that I'm spending at that company to work in my own business, then I'd be so happy. And so what happened was there was a situation that allowed the transition out of that company. And when that day when that happened, I realized that, oh my goodness, this entire time, all I had to do was let go because God had my back the whole time. And just for me to trust that if I just say goodbye, that my business would take off and that everything else in my life would just really soar. And that's exactly what happened. And throughout my experience on my life journey, since I was little, I've been able to mark all the wonderful times when I trusted and God just took care of it. It's always a sign for me. It's always there. But it's for me to really recognize that, okay, I don't have to worry about anything, right? I say, okay, this is God. This is the experience I'd like to have. And then I take the steps that I need to take because it's a relationship, right? I take the steps that I need to take to help whatever it is I'm wanting to birth materialize.
When did you realize that trust was important to your journey?
I've been, well, I would say that it's been throughout my life. I've seen those examples, right? But one of the roles that I took on was being a perfectionist and being in control. And, I developed that from experiences that I had growing up as a child, wanting to make sure that what I'm managing at any given time, whether it be my career, whether it be my family, that I had some level of control. And it's difficult to trust when you're wanting to control. Actually, it's impossible, right? If I want to be in control of a situation 100%, then where is God? It's for me to say, okay, I can take a step back and watch what God is wanting to bring in. But it took me quite some time, really, it wasn't until July of last year, the 27th of July, 2022, when I really let go, when that situation happened with my employer, when I let go and I realized, oh my goodness, this entire time, it was me holding on, not it holding on to me. And I use that as a metaphor. I have since used that as a metaphor for, events on my journey, because whatever it is that I'm holding on to, that's not supposed to be. If once I let go, then my goodness, the entire experience becomes easier and I'm able to allow the magnificence and the magic that God wants to bring into my life to happen.
Did fear ever creep into what God has called you to do?
Oh, goodness, yes. Oh, absolutely. Fear is the biggest imposter, right? Because fear comes and say, okay, well, for example, and I'll use when I resigned my role from last year from from my employer. The fear was I needed that salary, right? Because at the time I didn't have enough clients to match what I was making or exceed what I was making. And in my mind, I thought, well, I needed this salary until I had the clientele that would, the clientele that would bring in the amount of money that would match what I was making on my W-2. And that fear was me saying, well, my goodness, I'm in control and I don't want to let go of this, because if I let go, I'll have half, you see. But that wasn't true. The fear really is, it's here to cripple. And a fear like that it will take over your whole life and keep you conformed, and will keep you small. And when you release yourself from that, then you're able to grow and you're able to see all the wonderful things that you can do. Since I have let go, the very same day I had a new client, and my business has continued to grow since. And it's just a magnificent example to me that, oh my goodness, just let it go. Just let it go. Fear is an illusion for me. If whenever I hear anything, oh, that's not going to stress me out, because I know that something even more magnificent is coming in. And I'm happy to release things from my life, right? Because when I release, I allow the opportunity for something even bigger to occupy that space.
Do you have a tip for our listeners on how to release fear? I grapple with it as well.
Just know that you're worthy. And what I do a meditation and even a simple prayer. God, help me through this. Help me overcome this fear. Help me to walk into what you say that I am. The Bible has so many beautiful examples and guidance, right, on fear. God, we're fearfully and wonderfully made. There's so much abundance that God wants for us. And when I look at other people enjoying their abundance, or I look at a beautiful piece of jewelry that I admire, I can have that, because there's no rule that says, well, it's for someone else, but it's not for me. God doesn't say that. God says that there is abundance waiting for me. So whatever it is that I want, and one of the practices that I do constantly on a daily basis is, for example, if I would love to have whatever it is I would love to have, right? I see myself enjoying it. I take every moment, every day, I'll take a half hour, and I'll sit there and I'll just see myself. If it's a beautiful car, a particular type of car, be specific. The Bible says, be specific about what it is that you want, right? So the specific type of car, the color, the make, the model, and I'll sit there and I'll just imagine myself enjoying what it is that I want. If it's the car, I'm seated in the seat. I'm adjusting the seat and the mirror. I'm smelling the brand new leather. I'm revving the engine. I'm hearing the sound of the engine. I'm moving it out of my driveway. I'm driving down the street. I'm driving it the route that I usually take, right? So I'm actually physically seeing myself taking those familiar routes. So it becomes natural for me in that car. I'm feeling how the leather feels on my body, the steering wheel. I'm taking in what the dashboard looks like. So I'm really experiencing that. And that it does something to the mind. It does something to the cells, and it becomes your reality for those 30 minutes, right? And I practice that as often as possible. So for me, in my personal experience, I have a timer, and I put the timer on, say it goes on 3 times a day. And when that timer dings, I say, okay, I get my little self up and I go sit, and it's my time to really embrace the experience that I'm wanting to bring into my life. So that would be a great thing to do. Just picture what it is that you want and picture yourself. Don't think about fear. When the fear rises up, like if you're imagining and you see a fearful thought, or you're feeling a fearful thought, don't sit in judgment. Don't get involved with it. Don't interact with that thought. Just watch it move away and just go back to enjoying that thing that you're wanting to usher in.
Excellent advice. So listeners, please, the last interview I had with Jeannie Doherty, she talked about being specific when you're praying. And so
Yes.
there's this thread that's happening. And I believe this is I know it to be God speaking to not only the listeners, he's speaking to me as well about being specific about our prayers. And so right now, Nickie, listeners, just gave us really great advice and suggestions on what to do about being specific, or the process of being specific in our prayers. So thank you for sharing that with us and empowering us, Nickie, with that information.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. And just know that you're worthy. We're all worthy to have what we want to have, whoever we want to evolve into, whatever we want to be, whatever we want to do or have, we are worthy. And a lot of the times we get so bound down by what we heard in our childhood. Someone says, well, you can't have that because it's not for us. We're not made of money. You cannot have this because you're not talented. Those are thoughts that we accept into our own existence, and we allow them to really take control of who we really are meant to be. That's someone else's rubbish. Pardon my language, right? Don't you, if you've accepted that, shed that. That is their journey. You are worthy of having whatever you want to experience. We have one existence in this body, and make it work for you. Get into meditation and prayer. Seek God. Ask God to rid you of someone else's thoughts, right? Disconnect from what they want to make you accept as real, as your reality. Just disconnect from that. One of the practices I do fairly regularly throughout the day is I take 5 deep breaths with my eyes closed. Deep breath in and out. And what I'll say is I disconnect from all energies that's not mine. Because what happens throughout the day, someone is thinking something negative about you, it travels, right? And you're wondering, oh, I feel like somebody's talking about me, or sometimes you're thinking about someone, and you get a phone call from them. We're all energetic beings, right? And we're all connected. So shed yourself, just clear yourself of all the negativity that people are attaching to you. That's not your story. Create your own story. And one of the beautiful things on your journey and on my journey, is that we get to decide how our journey looks and how we experience life.
Thank you. Did you ever feel unworthy, Nickie?
Oh goodness. When I was little, and how I am right now has a lot to do with how I grew up. I grew up hearing children should be seen and not heard. So whenever the adults, my grandparents or my mom or whoever would have their friends come over, my job and my duty was to walk away from if I was in the living room doing something, leave the area and go play outside, right? If I had questions, if it did not conform with what the adults thought, I couldn't ask. So I was very introspective. And that was a strength, actually, because it allowed me to seek God from an early age. It allowed me to ask questions of myself and of God, and be open to the answers. And when I was little, I was told, well, we don't have this, or you cannot have this. Not given an explanation. It was just, well, you cannot. And I saw other children with. No one explained to me why I couldn't have. So of course I thought, well, it was just me. And even though we had money, people would say that we were wealthy. There was always this block against what I could do or what I could not do. So at the age of 16, when I really realized that, wait a second here, this is not my journey. This is what you're telling me. And what I'm seeing is different than what is the actual truth.
When did you realize, was it at the age of 16 that you needed to enjoy the journey, or was it later on in your life or earlier?
So at the age of 16, what happened was I was on holiday on summer holiday. And because I was 16, I was able to stay at home by myself. And my neighbors would always watch what me and my sisters would do. And in the evenings would report to my stepfather. So one evening he came and said, well, the neighbor said that you were climbing the tree. And yes, I did climb a tree. I'm from the islands, it was my favorite fruit tree. There was fruit at the top, and I did climb fruit for myself and my sisters. So he said, this, and he told me her name, said that you were in the tree. And something clicked inside me, because it taught me that no matter how good I was, or how good I was being as a child, I did everything I was told. I did what I thought I needed to do. My life really was not my own. And that moment taught me something. Rather than live for them to please them, because no matter what I did was not going to be enough to please anybody, let me focus on myself and focus on really taking myself internally and saying, you know what, Nickie, you're fantastic. You don't care what any of these people say. You rock. And at that point was when I really became in control. And that control really has spanned from then until last year, July 27, 2022. Because of me being so in control, I got so used to that. So when I would allow God in, it would be, yeah, this is fabulous. But then I would go back to taking control. So it was that 16-year-old me that really learned that to take the value of my own life and my own experience by myself, because having other people tell me what to do and direct my life was not going to end well for me.
Praise God. Is that not a testimony? Yes, you took control at 16.
But I took control, but it was, after a while, control took me, right? Because I was so bent on not having anyone influence my life that I really kept out good. I kept out a lot of good, because then that control prohibited me from trusting a lot and being more open to more of what God wanted to do, because I had to control everything in my life. And that really it was not great. It was good because it taught me that I'm strong, right? I am strong. And it taught me that I can do whatever I desire to do, that I can separate myself, even though they're my family. That's their job. That's their foolishness. That's their life. And one of the things I always used to tell my mom, when she wanted me to, whatever she wanted me to do that did not fit her mold of what I should be doing, I said, Mommy, you have one life. I have one in this body. You lived yours and you're living yours. I cannot allow you to live yours and mine. So you live yours and I live mine. Whatever mistakes I make, that's for me to learn and grow. Those are my mistakes. They're not going to be our mistakes. It's mine. And I am very protective of my experiences and who I allow in my inner circle, because the people that you allow around you will either feed words of growth or words of destruction. You don't want people to feed you things that are going to tear you down. You don't want those thoughts. You don't want those people in your circle. You want to encircle yourselves with people who are going to empower and uplift you, and that people who you are going to be doing the same for, because this is it. This is that one journey we have in this one body. So make the most of it and surround yourself with people who are going to elevate you and embrace you and not judge you, and you won't be judging them, and please don't judge yourself. Don't judge yourself, because it's not helpful. Look and you say, okay, well, this quality that needs to change. Right? And then work on changing that quality. Don't say, oh my goodness, I hate that about myself. Never say that. Never, never, never say that, because we're always growing and evolving. And if you find something that about you that you don't like, for example, if you're shy and you want to be more outgoing, pray for that. Pray to be more outspoken. Pray to be more bold. And you will get that, don't condemn the shyness because it's a part of your journey. Just embrace that you're wanting to be bold. You want to be visible. You're wanting to have the friends. You're wanting to have the network. Embrace what it is that you're wanting, and it will come right into your experience.
Wow. Powerful nuggets in here. And if you can listen to this more than once to take from what she has and blessed us with in her share, you will be a better person for it. Listen next week for part 2 of our interview with Nickie Lawrence. Please go to the link in the episode show notes and find out more about God's Promises Media, and check out Gleaming for Your Best's latest podcast episode. And The Thoughtful Listener. I am a certified active listener, and I'm here to help you find the solutions that are within yourself when you remove the clutter and noise. I validate you. I respect what you're saying, and I give you a safe space to be heard, judgment-free. Find out more about Grace and Gratitude reusable things. Reuse is important for our environment, and through Grace and Gratitude reusable things, you find out more about reuse, and you can buy items that are gently loved. If you are starting your own podcast, use my affiliate link and receive 1 month free for Podbean as your podcast hosting site. It is a beneficial site for your podcast home. So thank you, listeners. I appreciate you for listening.